Hello everyone, I'm NEETU Chaudhary. Welcome to Continuous Improvement channel. First of all, my apologies for not uploading YouTube video for quite some time because of technical problems. Today I would like to talk to you about the different assessment models. So today we'll discuss 4 assessment models. 2 of them are subjective and 2 of them are objective. So let's get started. The first model we are going to discuss is the gap analysis. In the gap analysis, there is a current state, your current performance, and there is a future state. Now, future state could be from coming from the vision statement. It could be from the any initiative which you want to take or any objectives to be achieved. So that is a future state. So the comparison between the current state and the future state, whatever that future state it is, it's called as gap analysis. And it helps us in identifying the delta. The delta is that missing part. Like suppose the current performance is here and the future state is here. So the gap between these two, it's called as a gap analysis. And this delta helps to for the organization or for anybody to find the initiatives or the objectives to be put in place to fill that gap and reach from the current state to the future state. Since the future state in current world is very dynamic and it keeps changing, so in this approach of the gap analysis, the periodic analysis for the changing state is very much required. When you started, you were here and the current future state was here, but after a few months the future state has become here, so the gap has increased. So in this method, the analysis has to be based on the dynamic future state. And this approach is subjective approach. So it completely depends on your perception of what is the future state and how you want to, what parameters you want to analyze in this method. So this is the one of the subjective methods. The other one is also subjective, that is a SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis, I'm sure many of you would be aware of. It's about the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Again, this method is very subjective because when we think about the strength, it is very subjective, and for this method it's always good to use the brainstorming method when you're bringing all experts in a room and discussing with the specific very focused SWOT is done, that if you want to improve certain area, so what is the strength in that area, what is the weakness, what are the opportunities using that area, and what are the threats. So it's very subjective method. And another challenge with this method is that it lacks a hierarchy to lead the problem. So it is very like you get a lot of information but it's scattered. So some other methods need to be done if you're using the SWOT analysis, because it may not give you the clear picture. It will give you a lot of information. Then you have to funnelize it and you have to make it more narrow using different other methods. So as I said that this is a second subjective method. The next objective method is the benchmarking. Benchmarking is something when you compare your organization or with some similar organization or your department or your area of function with similar or the same type of competitor or the other organization or the other departments. It could be done to measure the performance. It could be done to measure the processes, like what process you are following and what the similar organizations are following. It could be done through surveys. It could be done on numbers, like what is your response rate of, say, if suppose it's a hospital. So what is the response rate or the patient waiting time in your hospital, and what is the patient waiting time in other hospitals? With this similar, as close as possible to your organization. Now, this is very important because you cannot, if you're in an oil industry, and you cannot go and compare with, say, supermarket until and unless there is very specific area of work. Otherwise, the more the organization is similar to your area of work, it gives better results. With this method, you get a lot of ideas for improvement. And the most important thing, as I mentioned earlier, also the comparison has to be relevant. In what area you want to improve, specific to that area, the benchmarking to be done. And it's a community intelligence, because if one organization is doing some good practices and other is benchmarking, so the overall all organization, they reach to some very high standard and they can go to the next level together. So it's a beautiful approach for the community intelligence, and it's very objective method. So you will come to know, especially if you're doing on numbers or processes, you will come to know that, okay, my response rate is say 3 seconds, and the similar organization, their response rate is 1 second. So this is how I need to improve. So this is a very beautiful method. It's very objective as well. The other method is maturity assessment. This is also very common method is there, in which like the different frameworks are there, which have different level of maturity, like the 5 levels or 3 levels are there. So organizations go for gap analysis, and then they do the maturity assessment to find that they are at which level, the level 2, level 3, level 4, and what is the next stage they want to reach. So it's more at the organization level and not specific to department or a specific area of work. It's most of the time it's at the organization level. This is very objective method, and it drives improvement. So it has to be coming from the leadership. It's a top to top down approach. It works. So it has to, if the management has decided or the leaders have decided to improve in certain area, then the maturity assessment is done, and then initiatives are kept in place, so that those initiatives, those drives are there to bring those improvements in the organization. It's done against the standard. So that is one of the positive point, because standards are created like taking all the best practices across the globe. So that is one advantage, that when the assessment is done, maturity assessment against some standard, you can be assured that, okay, these standards are made through using the best practices around the world. So it's a kind of a benchmarking also, that if I'm at level 3 and if I go at level 4, this means I'm having this minimum requirement for that level. So this is very good assessment method, and this is objective. So in today's quick session, we have seen 4 methods. Subjective methods, we have seen 2, that is a gap analysis and the SWOT analysis. In the SWOT analysis, you get a lot of information, so you have to narrow it down. In the objective methods, we have seen the benchmarking and the maturity assessment. So I hope it will help you in doing your assessments. Thank you so much.